What's going on, y'all? And welcome to another quick view, which is a segment of the Jermaine Johnson Show, the podcast, and visual, audio, all the other good stuff here. I am excited to have another good guest on here today. And y'all, she looked kind of cute. I don't know if y'all can see it, but she's kind of cute on here. But I'm excited to have this person on here. A lot of y'all know me as Dr. Jermaine Johnson or Representative Jermaine Johnson, but this lady, her name is also Dr. Johnson. I wonder why her name is Dr. Johnson, and I wonder if she's single. I wonder if she got a man. We'll find all that stuff out in a second. But Dr. Johnson, it is a pleasure to have you on here today. Today, y'all, we're going to be talking about specifically what it's like to be a candidate's spouse or candidate's significant other. And also after the candidate being an elected official's elected official's significant other. So we're going to be asking some of those questions and maybe some opinions on some other significant others that we have seen in the media coming up. But without further ado, Dr. Johnson, please tell the people who you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Johnson. As Jermaine said, I'm his wife.
I didn't say that. I didn't say you was my wife. You're my wife? I didn't say you was my wife.
Yes.
Man.
What year are we going into? The 12th year, right?
Listen, however many years you want, baby. Yeah.
I'm a pharmacist. That's what my doctor is in. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I've been practicing. This year will be my 7th year, so super excited about that. I'm a mom of 4 kids. And I just love helping people.
Oh, wow. She loves helping people, y'all. Y'all hear that? She loves helping people. Yeah, she loves helping people. So before we even get started, in a couple of questions that I have for you. The very first question I think the people want to know is, how did we meet? How did we get involved with each other? Where did you see me at? And how did you become my boo thing?
So when I was a freshman at the College of Charleston, I saw you one day. Now we're older than me, so you were.
I ain't that much older than you. Don't stop playing now. But go ahead.
Okay, well, let's just say I was new on campus and you were already established. Okay. Can we say that?
I'll take that. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So you were in a fraternity. You were yes. You were a starter for basketball. Like a star athlete, and you were just like someone everyone knew on campus. So I'd seen you, like I'd never seen you in person, I guess. Like I knew who you were, but I'd never seen you. And so I saw you this one day when I was eating breakfast in our school cafe with some of my friends and roommates. And I thought you were the most attractive person I had ever seen. I was just dazed. And after that day, I feel like I saw you everywhere. I never said anything to you that day, but after that day, I felt like I saw you everywhere. And I remember telling my roommate at the time when we were on our way to class, like, that is going to be my husband. That's my tall drink of water. He is so fine. and so after that, I noticed on Facebook that we were Facebook friends. This is 2008. So Facebook was like in its early stages. You still had to have a college email address to register for Facebook. So I was super excited when it was time to go to college so I can get one. But anyway, I was on Facebook. I noticed we were already friends. So I messaged you in the app that Facebook had at the time, the honesty box, where you did not know who you were talking to. It was just pink or blue to tell you what the gender of the person was that you were getting a message from. Just to tell you, I think you're cute. I want to get to know you better. And I need to ask you these questions so I can make sure you're not crazy before I reveal my identity. And to this day, I don't remember what I asked you. But I do know you answered them all well, and I knew you weren't crazy. So I told you my name. I told you what my dorm was. And we were like, okay, we're going to meet up. And we met, and the rest is history. But I will say on that date, you had game.
Ain't nobody got no game. You didn't stop out with all that.
I say that because when I told you, Jermaine Johnson, that I was looking for my soulmate, your response was, I'm hoping I can be there for you.
Oh, that's so corny. Hey, there's no way I said that, man. That is
And
so
here you
corny.
are today in
It's so
2024
corny.
as the husband I told my roommate before you even knew who I was or existed. You're currently my husband and my soulmate. So all of the
Uh,
boxes were checked.
oh my goodness, y'all! I'm listening. All my listeners out here, I am not that corny. I would have never said anything like that. But of
You
course,
did.
hey, she remembers it one way. I remember another way. I maybe have. I kind of remember it like the episode of Martin, where I was asking her to mold me.
Can you
And
mold
I
me?
think
Will you
it was
mold me,
something like
baby?
that. Will you mold me? I think it was more like that episode of Martin where I was asking her to mold me. Can you mold me?
Oh my
And mold me
gosh.
into a great man. And do that type of thing. So I don't know what she's talking about. But I appreciate you having you on here, sweetheart.
Thank you for having me.
And- yes, ma'am. The reason why I want to have you on here is because a lot of people, they have these questions about what it's like to be a candidate, significant other, as well as an elected official, spouse. And I remember when I was deciding to run for office, there were mixed feelings between yourself as well as myself. I really was kind of going against it because of the concern about bringing my family into it and my kids into it, and worried about worried about opponents and people bringing my kids and family into the fights and into the fold. We see that there's no hold bars fights that are out there, and I didn't want that to happen. But I don't. I know that you were supportive, but I don't know your innermost thoughts and feelings, or what were they when I said, you know what, I'm going down here to run for office and I'm going to do it, and I got a campaign. First of all, when I said I was going to run for office, what were your feelings? And then once I got involved and once I actually started running for office, how did you feel? Did you have any regrets about saying, whatever your feelings were? Man.
When you first went, like, said you were going to run for office, I was nervous. Inside, I was a little apprehensive because I felt like that was going to open our family up. And I know that in those types of arenas, or whenever you have to fulfill a role, it requires time away from family. It also requires family involvement. So I was kind of concerned about having our little nest, our little corner of the world being disrupted by the public and all of the things you would be required to do. But at the same time, I just wanted to be strong for you and be there for you and support you in what you wanted to do. Never trying to persuade you to do something that, like, in my opinion, God had put in your heart to serve. So I never wanted to be that person to distract you from that. So I always wanted to be a support system. So when you got into it, it's like, what can I do to help you achieve this? It went from my concern or fear of what it could, like, do to our family to, okay, what can I do to make sure that he achieves his goal?
What kind of advice would you have for somebody, for a candidate spouse or a candidate significant other, to help them to get over the apprehensiveness of having their husband or wife or partner to decide to run for office, not just to get elected, but just the whole campaigning part of it? Because campaigning, filing period is like usually in March. A lot of times people start, they announce, a few months even before March comes around, and they get out there and they start campaigning, they start working. So what type of advice would you have for a spouse or significant other to help them get over that apprehensiveness of their partner running for office?
I think what first needs to happen is just like table talk. Like, let's sit down and discuss what our goals are, what your vision is for what you're trying to do, and just making sure that everyone is on board. Because some things people really can't handle. I mean, because you never really know what it all is going to entail, what the community is going to say, what other people say about you. So just understanding for your family, is that going to work? And when you decide that this is something that I can get behind, or I know, regardless of what people say about politics and the negative reputation it has. What does this sole candidate, this one person that really wants to change the world for good, what are their intentions? And when you can get behind that, I would just say, do whatever you can to make sure that that happens for them. Because one thing that for me that I can say that really pushed me and made me want to do this for you or support you in this is between the two of us, we support each other. So for me, when I was in school getting my doctorate and I was, trying to pursue my dreams, you were behind me, pushing me, encouraging me to continue and do that. And so it would just be crazy for me, in my opinion, to not support you and push you and be there for you like you were for me. Because
I got another question. I got another
Okay.
question. So if because I was a first time candidate, you were a first time candidate spouse.
Yeah.
What could you like? What are the expectations you can tell a first time candidate spouse? Like, what could they expect from the campaigning, the campaigning experience? Because neither one of us knew what it was going to be like. Yeah, I just said I'm running for office, and you didn't know what it was going to be like to be a spouse. I didn't know what it was like to be a candidate. And
Right.
so, if you're talking to the first time candidate and the first time candidate spouse, what could you tell them to expect for their very first time?
Number one, long hours. Long hours. There were many days, countless times, because we have a very young family. And we've been growing our family over the years, and so we've always had little kids around. And so for us, it was just a lot of time where, okay, how do I step in or what can I do? That's what you have to expect. Like you're either going to have to get a nanny or you're going to have to arrange babysitting or you're going to have to fill in the gap because there's going to be long hours. There's going to be lots of meetings. There's going to be lots of events. There's going to be lots of just time that you have to dedicate to ensure if this is what you want to do that you have to complete in order to be a viable candidate to win. And so I just say very long hours. And then also something I had to learn along the way, because even though I love people, I'm also a hermit crab. So for me, my happy place was at home with our kids. You go out, you do your thing, you save the world, and I'll hold our family down. I'll hold our house down. But from great advice from somebody I hold very near and dear, okay? Miss Margaret Sumter.
Margaret Sumter, go ahead. My number one constituent.
My boo. She told me, girl, you better get up out that house and you better stand by your man and let them know that he has a wife. Now, he can say he has a wife, but where's she at? Where is she?
Yeah.
And so I really took that to heart and I was like, okay, so my support has to transition from holding down our house to standing by your side, like visibly standing by your side. Even though for us it worked out, look, you hold down the fort, you hold down the kids, I got this. But it transitioned like, okay, now you're going to have to come from behind the curtain and stand beside him. So I've been more intentional about being there for you. So I think just do that from the start. It's not just the candidate, it's also the spouse in it too. So just make sure that you also dedicate the time and that you arrange your schedule to be present for support.
Well, you finger snaps to all that stuff that you just said there. But you also hit on you hit on my next question, my next segment in there about standing by somebody's side, and I'm going to specifically ask for an opinion from you because of standing by my side, being a supported system, that type of thing. So we see other candidates or we see other elected officials or appointed officials with their wives, and sometimes you can see some not so very ethical situations and things like that. And specifically, I want to talk about one of our Supreme Court of the United States Justice folks, Clarence Thomas, and his wife, Mrs. Thomas. Now, I know you have read up on Mrs. Thomas and some of the questionable behaviors that she has had as his wife, and those type of things. So you have the you know, if lobbyists can't get to the actual elected official, they can get to the family. So just give me your opinion of them or her, or just talk to me about that.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is shady. Just very shady and unethical. Because when you elect people, you are electing somebody that is going to like stand for good and hold the interest or be the voice to speak on the interest of the people. Like you are the representative, or you're the person that's going to make decisions for those who don't have the voice. Like you are our voice. So when you get in office and then you have, it's not just you, you know, it is the family. So when you have a significant other that is doing backdoor shady things and not accounting for it, not like reporting it, that makes the person that's actually in office look bad too. It's like, how can we trust you that what you're doing is in good faith and for the people if the decisions that you're making are most likely being paid for?
Yeah, and whether or not whether or not Clarence knows or not, you know, it's still. I mean, it looks crazy that this is coming out of his household. I tell you one thing I did. I called a lot of family members when I decided to run. I said, listen, y'all bet not do nothing crazy when I get out here and run. Don't do nothing crazy. Don't say nothing crazy, because it's all gonna come back on me. So you know, that's one of the things I wanted to prepare my family for.
Yeah. Well, I will give you credit too by saying when you first got elected, you did tell me about lobbyists. You were like, if somebody offers you something, don't just say yes and take it. Like you need to think about where it's coming from, who is offering it to you, and like you did have that discussion with me. So
darn Skippy, because the one thing is y'all ain't gonna get me caught up with no unethical nothing. I will run away from you in a second. I am not going down that path. I will not. I will not. I will not. I will fight you. So, good folks. You know, Dr. Good Looking. Y'all probably don't realize, but I call her Dr. Good Looking. Dr. Good Looking. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, and giving some good, kind words. Definitely appreciate you being a part of this. Hopefully, you will decide to be back on here again. Maybe in a longer format and everything, but you know, you look good, you're beautiful, and I'll see you in the other room when we get off.
Yes, see you soon, honey.